All right, so let's continue on with our to-do list. What I want to do is have this form. Obviously, when we submit it, I want to take the element or take the input value and then create a new to-do. And a to-do is basically just going to be an li that we have. Maybe eventually we'll integrate with local storage at the end of this, but we'll have some ul, right? And this will be our to-do list. So let's call this, yeah, sure, an ID of to-do list. And then I want to have for each to do an li that says, walk dog. But maybe let's also add in something a little bit fancier after this. But we'll start by just having that piece of text inside of an li. Okay, simple enough. So I'm not going to have, I guess we could leave one in there, but I'm not going to. We have this container now, this ul, unordered list, that we will append our new to-dos into. So when this form is submitted, we're already handling that submit event. We prevent default. The next thing I want to do is grab my input.value. And remember, we had to assert that input is an HTML input element so that we have access to .value. And then let's go with const new to do or something will be the value in there. And then I want to make a new element, right? So I want to do something like const new li equals, and then to create an element, we can do document.create element, and then we just specify the type of element that we want to create. So that makes us a new empty li, and you can see it's an HTML element. And then we can do new li.append, or we can do inner text, inner HTML, but let's just .append the new to do. And it's really, this is text, so let's call that new to do text. Alrighty. And then we want to append that new li onto the list, which we haven't yet selected. So we'll call this something like const ul, or just list. And that will be a document.get element by ID or query selector. It doesn't really matter. And our ID was to do list, I believe. Let's just verify right there. All right, so then we're going to run into the same issue. If I try and do a list.append new li, the new to-do that we just made, I'm going to get an error because that list could possibly be null. So we either assert to TypeScript, nope, it's definitely not null, or we use our question mark chaining operator, optional chaining operator. Either way, at some point we have to confront the possibility that it could be null. But if we're already doing it for some of these other elements that we know are on the page when it loads, why not just do it here? Okay, so let's see what happens. Just zoomed way in, walk the dog, click me. And we end up with a new li that says walk the dog. I'm not emptying the input out or clearing it, so let's do that. We'll do, input.value equals an empty string. Now we'll try this again. Walk the cats. Feed the dog, and then do the dishes. All right, so we've got an okay start. We are handling the submission of the form. We're creating a new li and appending that li. What I want to do next is actually add in a checkbox, I think, for each to do. I want there to be a checkbox next to each one. And this part's relatively easy. And, most of this isn't very TypeScripty. The only thing that is specific to TypeScript so far is this logic up here where we have to potentially assert a type, assert that something's not null, and handling or working with certain types. But we're not having to write any annotations except for this one. And otherwise, it's pretty much, it is just straightforward JavaScript. The hardest part of this is just remembering all the DOM methods. So I want to make a checkbox, and there's no method just to make a checkbox as far as I know. What we actually have to do is create an element that is an input. Just as a recap here, here's how you make a checkbox. Input type equals checkbox. That makes us a checkbox. And then we control whether it's checked or not with the checked attribute. So now it's checked and now it's not. So we do type equals checkbox, and the way that we could create one of those dynamically would be something like this. Const checkbox equals document.create element, and then in here it's of type input. I guess I should be consistent. If I'm going to uppercase or lowercase, I'll do lowercase li, lowercase input. The DOM or the method doesn't actually care. And then we can do append our checkbox. But right now, it's just a generic input element. It doesn't know that it's a checkbox. So how do we tell something that it's a checkbox? We use that type attribute. Input type equals checkbox. So we can set that on there. I'll do that down here. Checkbox.type equals checkbox. And then we can append it to the end of our new li. New li.append checkbox. So for now, every checkbox is going to be the same. They're all going to be unchecked. And that's okay. Once we integrate, I think we'll do local storage. Then we might have some checked and some unchecked, all depending on what we have stored in the browser. So let's see if that works for us. Enter a new to-do, walk the chickens. And there we go. It's kind of ugly, but we do have a valid checkbox appending for each one of these every time we make a new to-do. Let's just look at the inner HTML. So it's an li, and we've got walk the chickens, and then an input type. Now, we might want this text to actually be a label or a paragraph or something, but I think it's okay for now just to leave it as plain text, just for the sake of time here, without wrapping it in a separate element. And then we could decide if we want the checkbox to come first or not, but that's fine. All right, so that's it for this video. In the next one, we'll integrate our, I won't call it an app, but our to-do list with local storage, and we'll most likely end up creating an interface to help us do that.